Welcome to the Matt Cutrer Report. These are the extraordinary stories of ordinary individuals. Today's guest is originally a San Angelo native who graduated from Central High School. She was in a horrific car accident in 2007, which changed everything. In fact, that car accident sent her on a spiritual journey that would lead her to a path to be a spiritual practitioner herself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Trellie Payne. Is going to be really cool and very interesting, I think. So just give the audience a little rundown, an elevator pitch, if you will, who you are, what you do, that kind of deal.
Okay. My name is Trellie Payne. I'm a spiritual practitioner, energy worker, work with crystals, and I attack the mind, the body, and the spirit. I was formerly a resident of San Angelo, even though born, not really raised here. Came here when which is like Lone Star Middle now.
Yeah.
Used to be Robert E. Lee Junior
Yeah.
High. And I've had a lot of my traumas actually happen in this town.
Oh, wow.
So it only fitted that my healing also began in this town.
Interesting. Okay. So that's perfect. So I'll let you continue. Tell us, let's start with kind of your story, like as much as you wanted to get into with that, like how it all happened for you, what led you to the path of being a spiritual, you said spiritual consultant or
Practitioner.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Well, at a very young age, I had many spiritual gifts, from talking to spirits to levitating.
Whoa, I bet that freaked people out, huh?
Oh, yes. Which is why I shut it off for a long time.
Yep.
I was sexually molested, raped, you name it, from a young child.
How old?
Since an infant.
Oh my gosh.
And then because of the environment, sex, drugs, rock and roll type of environment I was surrounded in, that I thought was normal growing up, I also picked up my own self-sabotaging habits and patterns. And a lot of it was out of survival.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of weaving through that, but I didn't really wake up to that until 2007, when I had a really bad car accident.
That's right.
Got a TBI, all kinds of issues.
Wow. Were you driving?
I was the driver.
Yeah. And how did it happen? Do you remember?
There was a car that ran across 14th, ran all the red lights. And sadly, he left his girlfriend in the car when he was able to jump up and run.
Wow.
My adrenaline was rushing so much that I didn't go to the hospital right away.
Whoa,
it took me a couple hours before I actually went to the hospital. My passenger went right away.
Okay.
So all in all, I really suffered a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And then I went through mental damage because I went from working 80 hours a week to not being able to get out of my own bed.
Whoa. Yeah.
And in that process, I got onto my own drug addiction.
Yeah, sure.
Because I couldn't get help with the hospitals. Back then, Obamacare, nothing like that existed. Right. And I didn't have any medical history either.
Okay.
So I really didn't get any help for many, many years.
Wow,
and the only help I could find was on the streets.
Yep.
Cheap, easily accessible.
Yep.
But by the time I woke up and started cleaning myself off, it was a little too late. CPS got involved. Things like that got involved. So I lost it on a whole other level.
Yeah.
So in that process of my physical damage and my mental break, I had a major reawakening, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
And that reunited myself with my inner child.
Yeah.
And then reignited not only the gifts that I remembered, but so much more.
Really? Whoa, yeah.
Where I could see auras. I can see your ancestors behind you.
Whoa.
I can channel.
Yeah.
But what I really do now is I teach people how to release their emotional traumas that are also usually tied to your physical traumas.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you can surrender, if you will, to your highest self and break those chains.
Okay. Yeah.
So I like to say, in one hand, I'm karma in the flesh. And comes with my zodiac and some other things too. But my biggest thing is I help give those that don't have a voice.
Yeah.
I help them find their voice again.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So we're going to jump to a sponsor, guys. We'll be right back to hear more. Are you looking to elevate your brand with custom headwear? Custom business hats for high quality customized hats. Perfect for any business need. Whether it's for company branding or distinctive merchandise, we ensure that your brand gets the attention it deserves. Plus, we offer free quotes to help you get started. Visit our website at custombusinesshats.com. Custom Business Hats. We've got you covered. Hey guys, hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, Trellie, so continue on where you left off, if you will.
Okay, yes. So I've been on this journey where I started doing a lot of my own treatment because I did go into several psych hospitals, like back to back in a period of time.
Whoa, yeah.
And so on one hand, I went from being actually a worker in the mental health field to being a patient.
Oh,
right?
interesting. Yeah.
So I got to see
both
sides of the world and what they do when it comes to the medication.
Sure.
How quick they are to just put this diagnosis on you and then shove a man-made solution.
Is that how it is? So do you think it's pretty screwed
awful.
up? Yeah,
it's awful.
The system when it comes to mental health.
The system makes money off of you
by
not even telling you the truth. But the saddest part is the people that are licensed to do that are not even fully educated.
Really? What do you mean?
They're only given so much education to focus on that's pushed down their throats that they don't seek to find the root cause.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
All they do is seek to find the symptoms.
I see. Yeah.
And then temporarily give you a Band-Aid that then's going to have to change and change and change.
Okay.
And the whole while,
sense.
it's also changing your body.
Yeah.
Your mind, your spirit, everything. It numbs you from your spirit. You will become so disconnected from your higher self and be stuck in just your lower self even.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, or vice versa.
That's a really interesting way of putting it because it feels like that, you know, for people. And I've dealt with some of that myself a little bit. But yeah, it's like you're kind of pigeonholed into this diagnosis or whatever, and everything you do, all the medication you take, everything is just about that, like defines you sort of. And so you start believing that about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you learn about the laws of the universe, laws of attraction, reciprocation and whatnot, whatever you're constantly thinking about and speaking on is what you
such a huge believer in that,
is what you create more of.
Don't you feel like we create our own reality?
We do.
Absolutely.
Until you learn, though, that you're not the one that's been even creating your own reality since birth. We were programmed from birth, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Your parents gave you a name, and then they put a big old stamp and signed you over to the American corporation. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And then they throw all this other programming that they even force your parents to continue with. So as much as a lot of people like to follow tradition, a lot of tradition needs to die.
Yeah.
Like it really does.
Yeah.
Because what that tradition has always kept us in is these karmic toxic cycles, because blood is thicker than water. So we were raised that you're supposed to tolerate whatever it is because that's your family. No. You can love your family and not tolerate their crap at all.
Oh, that's so good. So good. Yeah.
And on top of that, it never taught us to set good boundaries. When I was a child, we were forced to hug and shake hands with everybody.
Okay.
As a spiritual practitioner, I will tell you, no.
Oh, how come?
Read that energy. You know how easy it is for them to transfer their demons to you?
Ooh, is it really?
Oh, yes.
So you
are making a covenant.
Whoa. Are you the type? So this is how my girlfriend is. I have a little bit of this, but she's really intuitive. She can tell if a person, she can say that something's off about that person. I'm telling you, you're going to find out later. And sure enough, every time. Are you that way? You can tell.
It's energy.
It's so interesting
energy
to me.
Doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Your actions can lie.
Yeah, but
because
energy
people
can't.
Can train themselves to act a certain way.
That's right. But you can't hide the
But
energy,
you cannot
right?
hide the energy.
That's crazy.
So once you wake up to people's energy as well as your own,
Okay.
because that's what the whole God is in you is,
Okay.
right? And to know thyself is to know God, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if you go in and you really dive deep into your shadows, your ego self, and actually allow yourself to have some ego deaths.
Ooh, yeah.
So that your true essence, your true spirit can rise.
How do you do that without psychedelics? Like how do you do that naturally? Like tap into that.
Part of it is getting more connected with nature.
I believe it. Okay.
Going barefoot
Grounding,
more often.
yes.
Hug a tree.
Yeah.
Okay. Disconnect from electronics
Yeah.
and make
gosh.
that a regular thing. It has to be. That's the other thing. It has to be a lifestyle.
Oh, so you can't just do that for a weekend and think
Right.
you're going to reap all the benefits.
Right. It's got to become a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Just like every bad habit that you have picked up.
Mm-hmm.
It took a few times
Sure
of you
did,
doing
right?
it before you no longer thought about it.
And
You're
it
just
became
doing
automatic.
it.
That's right.
It became a habit.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to retrain yourself.
Yep.
You have to learn to set better boundaries with even yourself.
That's so hard. Yeah.
And part of that, you're going to disappoint a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if you disappoint those people, then they're not for you in the first
That's
place.
right. That's so good. Yeah.
And as well as we have to learn, you know how you want privacy and you want some space,
Mm-hmm.
get out the bathroom or whatever. You have to give everybody, not just yourself, that space.
Yeah.
So that energy that's being read,
Mm-hmm.
you can now pick apart what is your energy, what is not your energy.
Okay.
And when you're left alone long enough with your own energy,
Mm-hmm.
then you can call yourself out on your own bullshit. Excuse my language.
No, you can cuss if you want to. Yeah. Wow.
And until we learn to even call ourselves out on our own bullshit, even if a trauma helped create it.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
have to call yourself out and be like, okay, well, that's what created this. I don't want to be that person, and it's not going to take me where I want to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, because holding on to that has helped me hold on to all this toxicity
Yeah.
because I'm comfort there.
Oh, I was just going to say that. Do we do that because we're comfortable with it?
Yes, because
So
you
how do
know
we
how
get
to
out of
maneuver
that?
it.
Yeah.
You have if you get closer to nature, you're getting closer to God.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that.
And when you start feeling that, and then you go back to that environment, it no longer feels comfortable.
Oh, I just had that's so crazy.
Okay?
I had
It no longer feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And then you start clicking, well, wait a minute. Let's try it. Let's do some more of this.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've also had to practice myself, and my mother, I love her to death. She's one of the best dark masters, I guess.
What's that? Like Darth Vader?
In a sense,
almost sounds
yes.
like that, yeah.
Yes. Yes, where she let her scorn and her, things.
Kind of take over and
Right,
yeah.
when she's kind of stuck there.
Okay.
And I had to allow her to be there.
Yeah. You can't pull her out, right?
But at the same time, allow myself the same freedom to move away.
That's right.
So that I could heal and be who I know I'm supposed to be.
That's right. That's good. Yeah.
And then periodically, because I've worked on my boundaries and things and worked on my own healing and gave myself the space while taking my energy away and giving them space to be in their energy.
Uh-huh.
Everybody now has the space to heal.
Yeah.
But
So-
if we're all doing this all the time,
Exactly. Yeah.
there's no space to breathe.
So do you believe in, how some people say, family is, no matter what, they're your family. And even if they're toxic, you still just have to deal with it. Or do you feel like it's okay to push them away for a while and to work on yourself? That's kind of what you're saying, right?
Oh, yes.
Some people are afraid to do that. Yeah.
In fact, I teach people to even how to cut cords.
Okay.
Because
Wow.
it's also a spiritual connection.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your umbilical cord wasn't just there just as a placenta too. Okay.
Yeah.
It's there on a spiritual level too.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why if you do essential oils and things, one of the best places to put even like if
navel.
you have a pain cream is in your navel.
Whoa.
Because every nerve that's in your body is right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense, right? Yeah.
That's where all your nutrients
That's right.
came in as a
Yeah.
baby. That's where all the nerve endings were.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
how mom even knew if you were upset.
Yeah, that's right.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. So many people are born angry and then they're just these angry
They're
children
born
and people
angry.
don't even know why. And a lot of it has to do because it's all ancestral bloodline.
Whoa. So it's almost like generational curses and stuff.
Yes.
So that stuff is real, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
I believe that. Yeah.
Oh, yes. But
it's just
just
interesting
like
to hear it
those
from you.
generational gifts are passed down to
Yeah.
generation, so are their traumas, their sins, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
And every generation has had the black sheep. Okay,
Mhm.
that black sheep was meant to be the cycle breaker.
Oh.
Not every generation cycle breaker managed to break cycles,
Right.
if you will.
Yeah.
So that's why you're seeing right now more than ever this huge influx. Because
Whoa.
just like we think we can control time,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
We can to an essence, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
on a personal level on some things.
Right.
But the universe has its own timing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if we don't think we're ready or not, if the universe says it's time, it's time.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing that I learned to stop fighting the universe, because that's God in itself.
Yeah.
Science, spirituality, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, they just have different explanations for it.
Yeah.
But if you have that feeling, that's your knowing.
Okay.
Because people say they believe, but they don't even understand what believe means. But the reason you believe it is because you can see it, you can feel it, you know it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, walking in faith, you can't see that.
No. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to
instead
do
of
sometimes.
believing, start walking in faith.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things is to know that the universe has always got your back. But if your back is turned on yourself, then guess what the universe is going to give you? More things that are going to make you feel like
Makes sense.
the world's against you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is
that's why people
responding
feel like
to
they can't
you.
break out of the cycle,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And part of it's because we also have to accept that regardless, like, these things happen, we have to speak up on them.
Mm-hmm.
For generations and generations, it was swept up under the carpet.
Okay.
What
yeah.
happened in this family stayed in this
Right.
family. So in my family, there's still so many pedophiles, and I'm get a lot of crap because I will speak out on it.
Yeah.
And they've tried to silence me my whole life about it.
Whoa. What do you mean? What will you say?
Well, there's been times
call
where
them out, you mean?
I've actually, tried to get help for that. And then there's been times now that social media exists,
Mm-hmm.
without naming names, but
Mhm.
they know who they are.
Yeah.
I have put it out there where, I wonder how many of my family members are still enabling the pedophiles in the family to continue.
Wow,
Because,
yeah.
he's just a drunk or this or that.
Yeah.
Instead of realizing when universe of God gave us children,
Uh-huh.
that was one of the biggest gifts we were given.
Yeah.
And they're gifts because they reflect to us what we need to heal from.
Mm-hmm.
And you can learn that also if you learn your zodiacs and things, right? So Geminis, for example, my oldest is a Gemini. They're going to help you find your voice.
Okay.
A Taurus is going to make you see your potential,
Okay. Yeah.
right? But instead of letting them lead like we're supposed to,
Mhm.
we've been programmed into children were supposed to be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much programming. There used to be magazines that even told women how to dress, what
Mhm.
not to say when the husband came home.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
better have his slippers and his newspaper ready and all
Right.
these things.
Yeah.
And if you realize some of those generations still exist
Mhm.
and they're still alive. And so a lot of people are scared to disappoint them
Mm-hmm.
because they're scared that person's going to die if the truth comes out because their heart can't take it and their mind can't take it, instead of realizing the truth actually sets you free.
Mm-hmm.
So if it comes out when you're alive, your spirit ain't got to hold on either.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's part of the death doula thing that I've learned over the years.
Talk about that a little bit. How you said you were a death what?
A death doula.
Doula. Okay. And a
Doula.
birth doula.
And I've
So,
been a
yeah,
birthing
explain
doula.
that, yeah.
So on one hand, birthing doula helps you bring life in.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the death doula helps take life out.
Okay.
So as a death doula, what I've done is not only helped the individuals live in the setting that they wanted to live in when they die,
Mm-hmm.
but explain to the family and help the family on a spiritual level, as well as go through the financials, all the different aspects
Whoa,
that
okay.
terrify you,
Yeah.
because someone's going to leave behind, and start looking as one for death does not mean you stop living.
Yeah.
Okay. Because once, for example, a family member passes through,
Mm-hmm.
another family member is giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we're constantly cycling back in.
That's right,
And
yeah.
we're energy, and energy
Yeah.
never dies either.
Well, what do you think? So what do you think happens?
transform.
Yeah.
Okay. And depending on where your mind, body, and spirit is when you pass over to the Rainbow Bridge will determine where you go. So a lot of people don't even realize you don't have to come back to Earth.
So, so I think what you believe is this is neat because there's I have a friend who this is kind of how he feels, and he's a Buddhist, but he also has kind of his own interpretation, and he essentially says that Earth is a not a simulation, but it's a simulator. It's a simulator, a consciousness simulator.
Yes.
So we're here to learn certain things to progress our consciousness to a certain point, and then after that we incarnate somewhere else in another dimension or whatever, and so that it's almost like a video game. You're going to the next level, sort of. Is that kind of how you feel?
It is, but you're already in a video game while you're alive, even. Okay, because every level that you ascend or descend, is going to bring you new devils, new angels. Whatever comes with it that you want to put a title to.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's a lot like a video game. Yeah. So once you defeat this big boss, right? And you think, oof, you go to that next level. There's another new big boss you got to fight. But a lot of people don't even realize that those are all reflections of you.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That you have not either accepted,
overcome. Like the lesson hasn't been learned yet type of deal.
Right.
Yeah.
As well as learning that we have to embrace our darkness, not just our light.
What do you mean by that? That sounds scary.
Okay. A lot of people take it that way, but really what it is, so embrace your anger.
Okay.
We don't have to sit and hold on to it, but embrace it. Feel that anger and then know why you're feeling it so that then you can use that in a positive aspect for your life.
Okay.
Okay.
I see. Yeah.
Because anger is actually a very creative energy.
Okay.
Very creative energy.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people are tricked into suppressing that because that's also a sexual energy.
Okay. Really?
Oh, yes. Your sacral chakra.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also the womb, right? What's done in that womb? Life is created.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And everything that life is going to have is already coded in it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's in your DNA. Your DNA holds all the codes. Just depends on what you go through is when it activates.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's why some traumas will open it up and some traumas will suppress it.
Yeah.
But it's also divine timing, if you will.
Okay.
Because we won't go where we need to go if we know everything.
Yeah. Okay.
You're still going to get from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But like kind of like Bruce Lee used to talk about the path of least resistance, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
The more you resist your darkness, the darker it gets.
What? Wow. So you're better off embracing it, you're saying?
Yes.
Whoa. Okay.
And learning
about it.
And learning about yourself through it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That does.
Just as much as your light. So on one hand, I've noticed that I've been used as like bait by God, if you will, because I will go into the light, I will go into the dark. And if you are operating on an extreme, I'm going to pull that out of you, not even trying to, and make you face it. I don't know if you've ever heard of empaths, and there's different levels of empaths either. It's different than having empathy. Okay? Because you can learn empathy.
Right.
Okay? But an empath, especially for someone like me, I can literally step in your shoes, feel your pain, see things.
Okay. Yeah.
Hear, I can literally experience you.
Yeah.
And if I'm not careful and making sure I'm grounding, shielding, cleansing myself, I can take you on as my own.
Whoa.
And be living with your energy and not mine. So that's why you can walk into a room and either instantly feel the energy go up or go down. Yeah. And that's your telltale on who is around you that you either need to give more space to.
Right.
Or you just need to do more shielding for yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Because sometimes we're supposed to embrace those energies because they're attracted to your energy healing.
Though? You know what I mean? Like
you feel it. Listen, you have to listen to your body.
Okay.
So that's another part of going within and learning who you are.
Okay.
What is your gut instinct telling you?
Yeah. Okay.
And are you listening to it as soon as it's talking to you, or did you jump over that?
Yeah.
Because no.
Yeah.
And so one way I used to test myself, in fact, when I lived here in the last few years, while I was transitioning and really developing more of my gifts, I would go to certain places like the Dead Horse and other places, and I would sit and I would shield my bubble really, really out and have my energy very high.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would bring it in and push it out and then see who was getting a reaction.
Mm.
And then I would put it completely down
Mm-hmm.
and see what I was absorbing.
Okay.
And really learning, besides learning my own energy, I was also strengthening my own energy without realizing it at the time.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, as well as just learning to listen more to what my gut was saying, because that's one of your biggest links. But if you got a really bad, dirty gut,
Mm-hmm.
then your mind will fight you.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I've also been on a long journey of changing the way I eat.
Okay.
And not because of animals, this and animal. Don't get me wrong, I love animals in
Yeah.
nature, but I've been listening to my body. So I haven't really eaten meat outside of like fish and seafood
Okay.
for like 8 years probably
Whoa.
now,
Yeah.
and have cut back a lot of things out of my diet.
Okay.
But I did it real slow.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I did it real slow. But every time I started one thing, I would start noticing a difference. Clearer visions,
Wow.
clearer thoughts,
Uh-huh.
instant knowing of, okay, this energy, either that energy needs to go or I need to remove the scene. And the only thing you can control really is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was either learn to shield better
Mm-hmm.
or learn to remove myself when I need to.
Okay. Yeah.
Because not everything's for you,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when it is for you, you definitely are not going to be able to escape it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I've learned on the journey is
That's true, isn't it?
what's for
Yeah.
you is coming no
No
matter what.
Yeah.
It don't matter
That's the
even
truth.
who's even trying to throw you the
So
evil
true.
eye and
Yeah.
block it. If it's for you, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's just, when are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. So what about, you said whenever you were young, you talked to, or you heard, you were kind of a medium, right? You could talk to spirits, sort of.
Yes,
So do you
psychic
still
medium,
feel that
and
sometimes?
yes,
Really?
yes.
Do you ever do readings for people and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
that was one
Oh,
of the things I
interesting.
did
Yeah.
when Salt, Sage, and Services was
Okay.
even open.
I
And I
didn't know that.
taught
Okay.
people how to connect to themselves to do it.
Wow.
Because I prefer to teach you to learn how to tap into your own energy.
Right, like you were saying
So,
earlier.
yes, because, for example, somebody that's in my world
Mm-hmm.
that does readings, for
Yeah.
example, if their world is off,
Uh-huh.
they could be putting their reading and their energy into you. And now, and if
Ooh, that's
you
scary.
accept that,
Yeah.
you just made it your reality.
Yeah. See, that's scary, man. It's nothing
So
to
that's
mess with.
why you have to learn energy.
Okay. Yeah.
You got to know what's your energy and what's their energy.
Yeah.
Because you can literally feel when a practitioner is off. Just like if you go into a
Okay.
doctor's office.
Yeah.
They're a practitioner too.
Yeah.
You know if they need to get laid or something,
You're right,
to go
yeah.
take a
You
dump,
can tell.
something. You can tell, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
When they're like that, they don't need to be touching you.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
So somebody like me,
Mhm.
same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that I've tried to express the most
Yeah.
in the last 5 to 10 years is it's okay to go look for that extra help but if they're not guiding you back to yourself, which is God,
Yeah.
they're not the guide for you.
Okay. Yeah.
And until you also know how to tell your energy apart from others,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That
go
seems,
sit with a tree and sit with God.
that's the only way to really learn that, or what?
In a sense,
Yeah.
because otherwise you can think all those energies are your energy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's where like your neck and your shoulders can be heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You can all of a sudden walk into, you could have been feeling great. You walk in somewhere and all of a sudden you got knee pain, back pain, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
You just absorb somebody else's problems.
Mm. Wow.
And your light attracts them.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so your light shade, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about bugs
Mm-hmm.
and how much they're attracted to that light,
Yeah.
right? If that light gets covered by a bunch of bugs,
Uh-huh.
that light becomes dim,
Yeah.
right?
And they want to be near the
That
light,
people
right?
are the same way.
So
So
do you
so vampires, for example,
Oh, so
are
this is
actually
interesting.
energetic.
Okay, so
Okay,
yeah.
there
so
are
I
some
dated a
twisted-
vampire, an energy vampire, right? That like sucks the life out of you, right? There are
Yes.
people like that.
Oh yes, there's succubus, energy vampires.
I know it.
You
yeah.
name it. That's why it's so important to know your energy.
Okay.
So that's
that
why
makes
it's
sense
very
to me.
important
It really
to sit
does. Now it really
alone
does. Yeah, okay.
with yourself.
Yeah.
With no devices.
So you're never confused. No one can fool you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like that.
It's another good reason if you like electronics and they're in your bedroom. Make sure you're cutting them all off at least 30 minutes to an hour. And, if you can before that, even more, right?
Yeah.
And then don't charge your phone anywhere near your bed.
Really?
And if you're going to do anything like that, make sure you have some kind of EMF type stuff. Because besides the fact that it sends out things to us,
I need to stop doing that.
It also takes from us.
Wow.
Because you are ether. You just forgot that you're ether.
Whoa, yeah.
Okay. At one time, we were walking internet.
That's good.
And you can tap back into that.
Whoa.
So if you look at my forehead.
Yeah.
If I change it, you'll see antennas. You'll see different things.
What do you mean? Antennas?
An antenna. Like
in
a,
your
like
head?
a 5G antenna.
Nuh-uh. Why?
Because I'm learning more and more every day to tap in without the use of things.
Whoa.
So a lot of what I've even known, I barely started cracking the books.
Yeah.
So that I could give the terminology to make other people more comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Before that, everything I've known, I have been given.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I was also guided that I can't just be in this world all the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of have one foot in and one foot in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
At all times.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I don't make sure that I stay cleansed and balanced and energetic, I will, in a sense, pull myself apart.
Wow.
If you will.
Yeah.
Because part of my mission here on Earth is to be in both worlds. Because we're in a multiverse.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're a universe all by yourself.
Whoa.
So literally in this room with us three being here, this is a multiverse. You're a universe, I'm a universe, he's a universe.
That's confusing.
This is a multiverse.
I think I know what you're saying. Okay.
Okay. That's why you can crack up every part of your body, just like fruits and trees, and it will look like the Milky Way. It will look like a certain planet, star system.
Yeah.
Your freckles will look like star systems.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Because you are the universe in the flesh. You're God in the flesh.
Okay.
Okay. And so, but that doesn't mean that we don't all have our uniqueness. That's why you have fingerprints.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're all set apart just a little bit because we're a different angle of light being refracted. That's a piece of the collective consciousness.
The way I like to describe that is like if there's a pane glass window and that's God and it falls and it shatters. That's sort of like human consciousness. You're a fragment, I'm a fragment. So we're all part of the whole at one point, but now we're all scattered, but we're still part of the whole.
But you can make yourself whole when you accept that you are God in the flesh. And when you see people refracting back to you, a piece of you, by when you notice those triggers and you're getting triggered, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
We see a part of us that's not healed yet.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. And so that person will trigger us. And instead of going fully active through the trigger, if we learn to catch ourselves in the moment we're being triggered, be like, oh, okay. I see me and you,
right.
And whatnot. Now you can take that fragment back.
Okay.
And they'll get a fragment of you,
right?
And you'll get a fragment, and now you got another piece of yourself.
Okay. Well, what about, has there ever been a time where you were maybe diagnosed with a mental disorder or told you might have a mental disorder and later you found out not really, it's more of a spiritual gift like you were saying?
Yes.
And what was it?
Which I always felt that. But when I had the car accident in 2007, I sounded crazy.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because you were just like...
Because they asked me questions like, well, do you hear voices? Well, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
And because it all came back. I got flooded with it because I had shut it off for so long as a child after doing, my gifts. And there was a lot of witnesses, if you will, my older brother, cousins and whatnot that got to witness a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then there were also those that knew, which I didn't understand until later, that a lot of the adults knew who I was before I knew who I was.
What do you mean?
they could see my gifts.
Oh,
They
I
knew
see.
my
Yeah.
gifts,
Okay.
and they wanted my gifts.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
if they help me shut mine off,
Mm-hmm.
well, they got to go somewhere.
Mm.
So that's like the whole God giveth and God taketh away.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not using your gifts,
Yeah.
somebody else can take it.
Yeah.
Until you wake up one day and be like, wait a minute,
Whoa.
this isn't me. This isn't me. That's me. Let me have me back. So, which is a form of soul retrieval, which I do myself,
really?
and I help others with.
I was in a relationship that was sort of like that. It was almost like this person was sort of a narcissist and maybe a succubus. I don't know. It felt like I was saying, like a leech, like someone who sucks your energy and really doesn't have anything of their own. They just suck onto whatever you're doing, and try to draw from it in a way.
Yes.
And I was allowing that to happen, and I felt like I was being really manipulated in certain ways, and so I didn't even see what was going on until later. So what do you call that? Like, why does that happen? Why do people do that,
Part of that is their role, believe it or not.
Yeah, like that's what their lesson they're here for, right? Yeah.
Yes, as well as to help you figure out that your energy is special and it needs to be protected.
That's good, because I did learn a valuable lesson from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then once you learn, because one way to call a narcissist is actually a dragon.
Whoa, okay.
Okay. And depending on the narcissism that they've clung on to because it works for them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Once you learn to defeat one, it's because you actually became one yourself.
Whoa.
Because they cannot absorb you without you absorbing them. You have to transfer law, the laws of the universe, science, everything, spirituality, it all proves it, okay? So that's why it's real easy to get in a relationship and lose who you are.
That's right. Okay.
Because you take on to them, the next thing you know, they're acting like you and you're acting like them. And it's like,
man, that's real. That's real. Absolutely.
And
sure is.
And the more you learn what is you and what is not, the easier it is to be like, okay, I'm not playing this game. Shield up.
That's right. That's why that's so important. I see.
One of the techniques that I would teach people even on shielding, instead of just shielding about the bubble of light and stuff that people hear about, not everybody's comfortable with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, I'll imagine I'm a puffer fish. And you got too close to me and poof. And all my spikes are out.
That's badass. I like that.
And I got all my space in here and you can have none of it.
No, that's cool. Yeah. So how does that translate into real life actions? Like, what do you mean? What do you start doing if you're going to puffer fish?
For one, my energy is now telling them you can't have it.
Okay.
So those who cannot handle it will remove themselves.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah.
They'll usually have an episode, a tantrum, something, and then they're going to leave.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's another way to practice and test yourself with those that you're around is find your animal, find whatever's comfortable with you that you relate to, that you feels in you. To be your shield.
Okay.
Even if it's the armor of God.
Nice.
Okay?
Yeah. I love that.
Put that on.
Yeah.
And let it shine.
I like that.
And shine it up while you're letting it shine.
Yeah.
And then see.
That's good.
How people are reacting.
Ooh, there's a quote, and it says, "People will tell you who they are. Just wait and listen and watch. They'll tell you exactly who they are and what they're."
In the first 15 seconds. But what we usually have a problem with because of our training that you have to unprogram is we try to paint their new colors. Because you see the potential.
Dude,
so instead
this is
of
exciting because this is me.
Instead of taking them for what they were honest with you on, because they're always honest, even if it's not in words in the beginning. Yeah, they show you exactly who they are.
So my problem's always been this, and my grandmother was sort of this way too. Is it's hard for me to have a really good radar, even if I see red flags right out of the gates, because I always see the good in people, right? And I see their potential, like you just said, but it comes back to bite me in the ass time and time again. And I'm getting better at that. But what seems to happen is as I get better at that and I'm more jaded and I learn from people how they treat other people and, just being screwed over, is that you kind of get hardened and you lose some of that naivete, but you also develop practical real world skills that'll save you
Yes.
from being scammed and screwed over. But I also feel like sometimes I've gotten a little more judgmental now, and I don't necessarily like that. So how do you feel about that? Like, what's the best way to be?
That's the part where now when you see their potential, you need to realize that what you're seeing is you.
Okay.
Okay. And they want to learn that.
Okay.
So the next step is to see them not as that human flesh, but as the spirits that are affecting that flesh.
Oh, that's so good.
And you pray over those spirits
I love that
are on that flesh.
Yes. I think that's fantastic.
That's what we're supposed to do.
That's the best answer I
But you
could have
can't
heard.
learn that until you experience what you've experienced.
Okay. Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you, like I said, if you would have known early on, you would have hightailed it the other way.
Right.
And they would have never learned anything either.
Yeah. Whoa.
And some of us are actually meant to lead by example.
Okay.
So we go through what we went through, and then we show that there's a better way to get out and still have your grace.
Oh, that's so
still
good.
Still have your peace and
that's
harmony.
Really good. Yeah.
Still be able to be loving and nurturing. And even to those same people, it might just be in a different way.
Okay. Yeah.
It might be as simple as a smile and a prayer.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, you need some groceries.
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then learning too that don't be so hard on yourself either.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're usually the biggest judges of ourselves.
That's right. Yeah.
So when you start being more gentle with yourself, you could be more gentle with others
that makes
too.
sense. Yeah.
So that's why you want to see yourself
Okay.
and recognize
good.
your reflection in that person.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that then you can nurture the part of you that needs that extra nurturing.
Yeah.
So that then you can give it out again.
Okay. That's beautiful. That's really cool. I like that. So I have a question that popped in my head a minute ago, and it's something I've always wanted to ask and learn more about, and it's Ouija boards. Okay. So when I was young, I was told just by my family and stuff, like, you don't want to mess with that kind of stuff. Like, whether it's real or not, which I believe there's a lot to that. It's just you don't want to dabble in that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when they say dabble, you're right.
Okay.
Because if you don't have a calling,
okay, yeah.
If you don't have this strong pull,
yeah,
then it's not your gift.
Okay. I see. All right. Yeah.
Not that it might not be at some point, but you might also not be ready for it.
Yeah.
Because everything is supposed to be treated sacred.
Okay.
All a Ouija board is a divination tool.
Okay.
Okay? That's all it is.
Okay.
The internet is another divination tool.
Oh, wow.
So think about whoever's energy is behind the curtain, if you will.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Using the tool.
Mm-hmm.
What are their intentions? Are they pure? Have they healed enough?
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Have they healed enough? Can you feel that they have healed enough?
I see.
To embrace that and use it with responsibility.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
I got you.
everything is supposed to be deemed sacred. Sex is even supposed to be a sacred act that gets flung around.
That's right.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Being molested and raped did play a role in that, right? But I also love sex.
Yeah.
So that played a more role
right,
in it,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And it took a long time for me to get to where I'm at where I'm now.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one time, I felt that was the biggest worth and value I had. And if I could make them happy that way,
right,
then now I had value.
Okay. Wow. So it kind of all comes down to that, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's so interesting. Like value, right, is how you
Knowing
value yourself.
your worth.
Right.
Yes.
How you can barter and give it away, what you can do with it, how you can get things and manipulate people. And it's so crazy.
And we're natural that as children. Okay, so I'm the biggest narcissist right now. People might hate me for this. Is children. Think about it.
Oh, it makes sense.
It's me,
yeah.
me,
Well, yeah, they're selfish.
that's my toy.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they haven't learned, gratitude and selflessness.
Right.
Yeah.
and narcissism on a aspect is needed.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's where our self-motivation comes
how
from.
we survive, I guess.
Self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. You cannot be the biggest and best self of you if you throw away the part of the ego that tells you you're worthy.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, does it need to go through some ego deaths?
Yeah, right.
So it can be humbled and work together with the other side? Yes.
Definitely right.
So instead of having your angel here and your devil here on every level, eat them.
What do you mean by that?
Literally, eat them. Tell them to shut up. Put them inside you.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be inside you anyways.
Yeah.
They are you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, your
and if we keep them out here,
yeah,
we actually project them on other people.
Oh, cool.
But if you eat them
yeah,
and make them work with you, your mind, your body, and your spirit are now all working together.
That's cool. That's going to be a good clip.
Instead of two of them here fighting, and you're over here in the flesh like...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No. They need to be in you.
Yeah. Okay.
So that then you don't project them onto others.
Yeah.
Because now you know who you are.
Exactly. Okay.
And you don't have to pretend to be anything else.
Yeah.
The highest vibration on the planet, believe it or not, is not love.
What is it?
Being authentic.
Really?
Yes. Look it up.
Whoa.
Being authentic,
okay.
embracing who you are, even if,
essentially,
yes, even if you're an addict at the moment, embracing that I'm an addict right now. I don't know if I'm ever gonna fucking stop.
Yeah.
Guess what? You embraced who you are.
That's step one.
You are now vibrating higher than somebody who's pretending not to be an addict or have ever been an addict,
100%.
because they're not whole.
100% makes sense. Yeah.
And if you don't whole, you can never truly elevate all of you.
Yeah.
Because you're leaving pieces of you.
Right.
To a point that it's easier then to continue to absorb other people and not know who you are.
So other people walking around who they really don't know their own energy and they're constantly absorbing other people's energy. Wow.
Yes. And then there's a lot of
really
people
unhappy.
that learn real quick that they're an energy vampire or whatever, and they're not going to let you know nothing.
Yeah, I know. I've experienced that. Yeah.
But that's another part of the reason of why we got to learn who we are.
Yeah.
Not only how does food and things affect us, right? But when we get angry, how do we handle that?
Okay.
When we get sad, how do we handle that?
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me interject. So if that's one of the most important things is to learn your own energy and to, like you said, to embrace sort of your darkness, which I get now, like understanding who you are when you're angry. What does your anger do to you, for you? That makes sense to me. Right. So how do you do it then? Like, I know you said you disconnect, you go to nature, but like, is there a way to like say, okay, I'm experiencing anger, and you write down, okay, this is who I am when I'm angry. This is what
Journaling is one of the biggest things that I tell people. I get so many people that get pissed off because they know the first thing that I'm going to ask them if I haven't seen them in a while is, have you journaled yet? And
Man, I hear that
I haven't journaled yet. So, but and
I hear that across all disciplines, that's one of the most important things that you can do.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's just a lot of people got a disgust for it because either you had to do it in school and you don't want to do shit you did in school, right?
Yeah.
Or say you kept a diary and somebody found it.
Yeah. Ooh, has that ever happened to you?
Probably.
Yeah.
And I never cared.
To me once. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, well. Yeah.
Because I'm also a big one that I'll tell on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. As a child, I was a horrible liar.
Yeah.
So I learned to quit lying because I suck at it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll joke with kids. I was like, unless you're going to be a professional liar, you should stop.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because besides that, like my facial, my body, everything will give it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when you're really authentic, I guess when you're trying to intentionally live that way, it's probably, like you said, very uncomfortable to do something that goes against it, like lying.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
As well as being a part of a situation where that's going on.
Yeah.
And having a hard time not speaking the truth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet that'll eat you up.
I got in so many relationship issues.
Yeah.
Because the partner would be storytelling, if you will.
Yeah. Oh.
And I'd be like, wait a minute. It didn't happen. What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, I see. Yeah. They're like making you a part of their lie, you mean, kind of? Yeah.
In a sense. Yeah. And I'm like, and so I also had to learn to stop doing that, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm not supposed to control that.
Right. Okay.
I can only control me, and some things, even if they're truthful, are not meant to be spoken at the time.
Yeah, okay.
That was one of my hardest lessons to learn.
Oh, I bet.
Because when I got to a point where I was really working on my healing, and my mother or somebody would trigger me in a sense, I will hit them with the truth. Wow. But it would be hard, rash, and my tongue would shrivel you up and cut you to pieces. Yeah. And I would leave, and for about the first 10 minutes, I might feel like and justified. And then after that, I felt like crap.
Yeah, I see.
Because somebody I just cared about, regardless if it was true or not,
Yeah.
I just made them feel like shit.
Oh, wow. So what, you learned to what?
So I, in fact, used my mother as a guinea pig.
Okay.
She didn't really realize it at the time, but since she was always practicing with us, reverse psychology and everything growing up, I started doing the same thing. So I would go, and when she would trigger me, I learned to just bear hug her, give her a kiss, and say, I love you, Mom.
Wow.
I gotta go.
Yeah. That's
and
good.
Then, I went through so many stages because I had kicked her out, I hung up on her, things like that. To where now she does it back to me, and I love it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me a taste. That means you're learning too.
Okay. Yeah,
So if we're struggling to agree to disagree,
right, that is
at any
good.
moment, right, and we're struggling, then
that is good.
And I can't get mad if you're using me on me.
Well, I know that is good. That is good. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's kind of what's happening in my relationship is like, because we're being really intentional with learning better conflict management, and we're putting God at the center of everything we do. It's like we're adopting each other's good habits, like just like you said, like I used to be the one that was like, I need space. Like, let's talk about this later. Now she'll do that sometimes. You know what I mean? And we're just learning. It's cool. Yeah.
And then you'll get to a point where you don't have to leave to get the space.
Yeah,
it'll
that's
be
gonna
right
be
here.
Cool. Okay.
And it'll be right here.
Yeah. That'll be cool. So what about you? How have your relationships been? I mean, have they been a struggle? I mean, have you?
Oh, for a long time, yes.
Yeah, I get it.
As well as I've always been a very kind of adventurous and motivated go-getter, right?
Me too. Yeah.
So a lot of my relationships, they would feel a lack at some point and feel like a competition on one level because I'd be making more money or things like that. Mm-hmm. And in the man's world, I wasn't supposed to be doing that.
That's right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was still self-sabotaging because I was still using old techniques, avoidance.
Yep.
I would work so much that I didn't have to deal with it. I would still come home and clean and take care of the house and whatever.
Yeah.
But I would just jump over it real quick.
Yeah.
Just to move forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. And it took a long time. In fact, it took the wreck to where I had no choice but to sit there.
Oh, I see.
And I couldn't run.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay busy.
Yeah.
To face it and deal with it.
Ooh,
so where now I've learned, okay, I know if I don't choose on my own to work through what I've got, the universe is going to choose for me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize it starts with you bumping your toe.
Why?
On something, because you're supposed to be slowing down and being observant in the moment, being in the now.
Oh, you're saying that can be a way that the universe literally will throw something at you to slow you down. Interesting. Never thought about it that way. And then
it amps up because you'll notice you might hit your head on a cabinet next.
Dang.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. So you should listen to those things you're saying.
Oh, yes.
That's cool. I didn't know that. See, that's cool.
Yes, because even though we're usually just consciously active, our subconscious is always really in the driver's seat.
That's right. You were right about that.
Okay. And when you also learn to surrender. So at one point, and I do it periodically, I reinitiate that contract what I have with my higher self.
Yeah.
With, please stop me early if I'm being the one that's screwing up.
Okay. Yeah.
So I literally asked for instant karma on myself.
That's good. Yeah.
And boy, do I get it.
Yeah.
You ask, you shall receive.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I like to renew that periodically.
That's good.
In self-reflected moments to make sure, like, okay, so what role am I playing in the situation? Because you're always playing a role in the situation.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not always playing the best version, though.
Okay. Yeah.
And no matter how much training, how much reading, how much even self-work you do on yourself, there's going to be moments where you slip.
Okay.
Yeah. Because a new energy's been introduced, different things, but it's time for you to level up, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's time to see, are you really ready for the new next level coming?
Okay.
If not, well, then we're going to leave you right here with the same shit going on. And then we'll check back later and see if you're ready.
You know what? Tell me if you experience this. You probably do because you're real in tune with it. But for me, this was kind of I've felt it before, but not like this. So just recently, I even told my girlfriend, I said, just what you said. I feel like entered a different timeline, or like I leveled up or something, like a switch was made, because all these negative things were happening. It was like this valley, right? But it was such a crucial valley. Like it pulled me closer to God. Yeah. It was so important, right? And it set me on the right path. But now it's like I came out and it's this peak now, and all these blessings and just things are falling into place. You know what I mean? It's like leveling up or something.
Yes.
Do you know when that happens to you?
It's a timeline shift. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason that you also feel it stronger at times because you have been working on yourself, right?
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when the planets are aligning and doing what they're doing, retrograding and whatever, you're more sensitive to that now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the planets go retrograde, that's basically just time for self-reflection. That's all those are.
Okay.
Okay. And depending on what the planet is and the energy associated with it is what you're going to be self-reflecting on.
Oh,
right?
Never been explained to me like that. Okay.
Okay. So when Mercury is in retrograde,
you always hear that. Mercury's in retrograde. Yeah.
You're self-reflecting on your communication.
Oh.
Any promises you made, all kinds of things.
Okay.
Right? Because Mercury is the god of communication, basically.
I know that. Okay.
Right? And when it's in retrograde, you're going to be questioning your words, other people's words, noticing if it was genuine or not, right?
Yeah.
Because also the more that you've been paying attention to yourself and then actually acting differently, you've removed blocks. Because we don't really manifest, okay? A lot of people are always talking about manifest this, manifest that, da-da-da. It's already yours, honey.
Okay.
You just have to remove the blocks that you helped yourself and others put in the way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So when you start working on yourself, you start removing these blocks.
I see.
Because you're the only one that can give permission
what it felt like. Yeah.
for those blocks to be there in the first place.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay? Because if your brain does not accept it as truth, it does not keep it. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But once you actually accept something as a new truth of yours and you let go of old truths, now you've just removed a block and opened out a whole new space.
Cool.
For things to come into match.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why every level is going to have a new angel and devil for you to eat.
Whoa. Okay.
Because they're pieces of you that you're now seeing.
Yeah.
That are projecting.
Yeah. Right.
Because you even though you know what you know and you've done this work and you've gotten to this point, you still don't know shit. You don't know shit until the moment that you need to know it.
Oh, wow. That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
So no matter what, no matter how many times you level up, so to speak, you're always going to have that angel and devil, you're saying, and there's a lesson to be learned. Oh, man, that's in a way that's kind of like, it's like, dang, man, like it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that, dang, this level's going to have its own challenges, that kind of deal, you know?
But it's also going to have its tools.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
Blessings, right? And amazing things. Yeah, okay.
Yes, because everything that you need is already within you, right?
Cool. Yeah.
So that's another reason to eat them and put them back inside you.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of out here.
Right. Yeah.
Feel them instead of just hearing
Listening
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel them.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that we don't add logic because we are in this matrix.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you do have to at some point bring in that logic. You know,
Yeah.
You can't just let your heart get away with you. That's where people got to learn emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And how to balance those emotions and control them so that you can then use them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we're never going to feel angry or sad or disappointment.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly also have to learn how to detach from outcomes and expectations, even with ourselves.
Okay.
So that then we really have the freedom to receive God's will versus what our conscience thinks is,
exactly.
is supposed to go on.
That's a big question then is, that's something I've struggled with. And I feel like I'm actually aligned now with God's will. But for a while, I couldn't determine, like, is this my will or is this his will? And why can't I hear you, God? Like, why am I not, feel like I'm on the right path? You know what I mean? So how do you know?
Well, because part of that, you're expecting a programming that you've come to believe on how God's going to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
The universe is talking to you all the time. A lot of times people will, don't get me wrong, tendinitis is a thing.
Yeah.
Okay? But a lot of times it's not tendinitis at all. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
It's either your body and your spirit trying to communicate with you.
Okay.
ancestors, angels, other beings trying to communicate with you. So you can get really high-pitched tones, low-pitched tones. That's one way.
Okay.
Birds, insects, driving around, seeing a license plate that just catches your attention.
Oh, you're saying like universal signs, like
that's God, baby.
Yeah.
And then once you start embracing those and seeing them, and accepting that, then your gifts will heighten.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you'll just get these knowings.
Absolutely.
That's
yes.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. Like everything you're saying is, it's so weird because it's like, it's like a foundation that's sort of biblical in a way too, which is where I find truth mostly. But it's strange to me because everything you're saying kind of has that foundation in it. So it's why it all makes sense to me. Although it's said differently and maybe it's come about differently for you, I don't know. But it's just fascinating to me.
But that's really what a lot of people misunderstand about religious books.
Okay. Yeah.
For one, they're history books.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're talking about their time.
Okay. Yeah.
Not our time.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to get that confused. All that's already happened.
Yeah.
The first raptures already came. The first Antichrist, several Antichrists have already come. Jesus, yes, he was a man, but that wasn't even his real name.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a name that you earn, if you will. Okay. That's why there was also a lot of Cleopatras.
Okay. Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the source, really all they are is history. What is history? His side of the story. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to read between those lines to know your truth. Because you will feel what is right for you and what is not.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own role to play.
Yeah.
So quit trying to fit somebody else's role.
I like that. Yeah.
Feel if it's yours or not.
Okay. Yeah.
Taste if it's yours or not. You have all these senses for more than just food.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they were not even for food, believe it or not.
Wow. What were they for?
They were medicine. A lot of the things were just medicine or for the animals in nature.
Okay. Yeah.
At one point, we could feed off just the sun.
Wow.
And the air.
Yeah.
That's why when maybe you haven't even had water, but say you worked up a sweat, your mouth produces a lot of moisture because it pulls it right from the air. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, we're supposed to be drinking like fruit juice or eating fruit, like raw, not no processed crap, because that's a hydrogenated water. We are hydrogen beings that are biomagnetic at the same time.
Okay.
So that's why when you put out a thought, you don't even have to speak it.
Yeah.
But you can put out a thought and see it come to fruition.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you speak on it, act on it, it's going to come to fruition faster because you played into the laws. Okay. That's physics.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you start learning yourself, you learn those things. You might not know the words, but you learn those things.
Yeah.
And then your knowing will not let outside influences stray you because you know thyself.
That's good. Yeah.
You know what this does to you when you do this.
Yeah.
You know what happens to your skin if you get too close to that.
Right.
Okay. Now, what happens to your bowels and stuff when you get close to people? A lot of people have anxiety, but really what that is that's your radar going off. Somebody around you or something around you is no bueno for you.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's why anxiety and excitement give you the same chemical reaction in your body.
Nice. Yeah.
So you can also trick yourself in those moments that you're excited.
Wow. Yeah.
Because a lot of us are extremely sensitive to energy and don't even know it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I bet.
And that's your anxiety.
Yeah.
That's why you could all of a sudden feel angry and it's not
right,
your anger.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
It's not even your anger.
Yeah.
Because you're picking
That's
up
crazy.
an energy.
Yeah.
But if you don't even know your own energy, that's where psychosis and kind of some things can come in.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're so oversensitized.
Oh, yeah. That's scary.
That you don't know what energy is yours
That's
and
what I was
not.
thinking,
And then you'll blame yourself for all of it.
Wow.
And
Is that where that comes from? Like psychosis, like someone maybe losing their mind as they're adopting all these, taking on all these energies and they're just lost in it?
Yes. They went down somebody else's rabbit hole that wasn't theirs.
Wow. Yeah.
And
they can't find their way back.
And people like me in my field are really good at putting rabbit holes in front of people.
That's cool.
Okay. So that's another reason that I express, make sure you read energies. Yeah. Because that person could put a rabbit hole in front of you that does not belong to you. They're doing it intentionally. Ooh, that's called a destiny swap.
Whoa.
Okay.
A destiny
swap. So
what is that?
Celebrities and them, they do it all the time. So that's why they have their alter egos and all this stuff. And but they go through a ritual that's not given by God. Okay. And because birth charts exist, and the only reason birth charts exist with us in the United States and on this part of the world is for that reason. That's why you got a birth certificate and a social security card when you did, because then they can map out exactly who you're supposed to be on a soul level, every part of you. And then they can take that and take this one and swap them. So that's where like movies like Freaky Friday and stuff like that come from. Yeah. That's what they're touching on. Okay. Right? Yeah. And sometimes the divine God allows it to happen. One, because that person, even though it's going to work for a while, they need to believe that that's how strong they are. Because when this person wakes up, that's basically God's joke and teaching. Wow. Because at some point, this one will wake up and reclaim itself. Whoa. So that's another thing I teach people is how to first clear what's not yours or no longer serves you also.
Makes sense.
Okay. Because pieces of you also no longer serve you. Okay. So we got to cleanse all that first before we call back what's truly us.
Okay. And then what? So then once you call back what's truly yours?
I call it back, and I call it back purified. Okay. I call it back strengthened. Yeah. I call it back activated and in full alignment with my highest good. Okay. So basically, I'm calling back all my God self, no matter where I left it. Because think about an artist, right? When you look at a piece of art, you can feel and see that artist in there. Yeah, right? That's right. Because they left a piece of themselves there. Yeah. You do that everywhere you go.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So you literally, even if you're not around energy of vampire, you're literally giving out your energy all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's very necessary to call it back.
Wow.
That's part of filling up your cup. We should never be fighting over if it's half full or half empty. Okay. It should be overflowing.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And because otherwise, I mean, you're just defeating the purpose. Yeah. You know, because you can fill it back up, but if you let it deplete. Right. You know, instead of let it overflow and then give from your overflow.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
It's taken me a long time to learn that one. Yeah. Because I'm a natural nurturer and giver. But at the same time, I had to do a lot of the things that I did because I had already agreed to it on a soul level before I was even born. Oh, wow. That's what a lot of us don't even realize. You're actually blessed to be alive right now because we chose this. We chose to come in here and recode and remap.
Exactly. I believe
the
that.
Entire system.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We are a whole generation of cycle breakers. Whoa. Alive right now.
Wow. Cool.
And that's also where psychosis can come from. Because if you haven't been chasing your own path and you've been trying to like copy this person and that person, right? You're literally giving your energy and a piece of you away.
Okay. I see. Yeah.
But you also have to receive. Okay, that's just the law. Yeah. So what are you receiving every time you give yourself away? Was that energy a good energy for you?
I see. Yeah.
Was it a toxic energy?
Right.
What kind of energy was that? So that then we can get rid of it.
Okay.
And recognize the next time that energy comes along, we've already learned you. I don't need to taste you because I've already learned you. Yeah. And I don't like the taste.
Right.
Or I love the taste. Give me some more.
Yeah.
And then the universe will line up with you.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating stuff. So what do you do if somebody wants to hire you or to get with you about your services for spiritual healing or As a spiritual practitioner, what do you?
Well, right now, you can catch me on social media.
Okay.
It's under either my name, but you can also find Trellie's Closet of Wealth.
Nice.
Salt, Sage, and Services is still up, so
Okay.
I still, check in there periodically.
Yeah.
I don't really have a website or anything. For
Okay,
a long
that's cool.
time, I've been guided to just let people
Yeah.
to find me that are supposed to find me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have been getting pushed that I know pretty soon I'm going to be more on a platform
Cool.
again.
Yeah.
So I know that's coming, and I
Yeah.
know that this is part of it.
Nice.
But basically, if you're meant to find me, you're going to find me.
Exactly right. Well, so what are 3 things that you're genuinely grateful for right now in your life? I ask everyone this. I like hearing
One,
these.
my health.
Nice. Yes. Gosh, right? Let me just real quick. Something happened recently to me where I think I have an inner ear infection. And I got so dizzy the other day, like I fell over, and my ear's been itching, and I didn't think anything of it. My girlfriend asked me that, and I said, "Yeah," and she goes, "I think you have an ear infection." Anyway, and so it took me out to the point where I couldn't do anything, and I thought to myself, it's reminders like that that make you grateful for your health, because without it, you have nothing.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
As well as those kind of things are linked to spiritual communication.
Really?
Yes. Don't ever doubt your physical ailments as only being a
Whoa,
fleshly thing, because you are a spirit in a flesh body.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. This
Okay.
is your avatar.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And your subconscious and everything other part of you is controlling it, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we're not listening to things, our ears can be affected. When we're not speaking our truths.
Yeah. I wonder if there's something I'm not hearing that I'm supposed to be hearing,
Well, I think you're hearing it today. I feel like it.
Maybe so, yeah.
Because it's also might have been a piece that we're reflecting back to you that you didn't want to hear.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But a lot of time that's how the universe works, so to get your attention. And then if you're not paying attention, it's going to get harder. It's going to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is why I speak up now, because it took me hitting a windshield in my car and another car. And then on top of that, I also had a moment of knowing that God, my angels, and everybody was with me that same day, because besides hitting the windshield and everything, my car completely turned all the way around facing oncoming traffic on Bryant.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right there at 14th and Bryant.
Yep.
And my car literally was lifted and moved over right before a semi-truck came.
Oh, wow. That's wild. Yep.
And that was like one of the biggest things that stuck in my head from the wreck, because I didn't even realize I hit the windshield. I didn't even realize that not only did I hit the windshield, I'd actually died for a little bit and came back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
When I went to the wrecking yard to get things out of my car, you could see the 2 head prints in the windshield. That's the only reason that I knew. And then I got like a flashback of what happened.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. And then I had more things over the years. So I've been struck by lightning.
Dang.
And certain things. But it just activated more pieces of me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's like Powder. Have you ever seen Powder?
Yes.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Yes. It's just, I only went a little bit white.
Yeah. And you're not bald. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty much. But,
yeah. What else are you grateful for?
Well, besides still being connected to my family, even though it could have been completely destroyed. And not that I didn't have to put all these boundaries.
Yeah.
But I also had to put them on myself, because I've got grown children and a grandchild.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed enough to be who I am now, where I'm at now, so that I can continue my healing, because as I heal, my family heals.
Nice. Yeah.
Even if I'm not around them, they can still feel it. It's in the blood.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
good.
notice changes in them every time I come visit that align with what I'm doing.
Nice.
As well as other people that I helped over the years that actually have embraced it.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Thank you, Trellie, for doing this. This was
Oh, yes.
incredible.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for coming in. If you want to find out more, guys, information for Facebook, contact her on there, send her a message. All right, guys, you heard it. This was a really good one. We'll see you next time. Cool. Thank you guys for joining us today. This was Miss Trellie Payne. What a fascinating story. Remember, guys, if you'd like to sponsor the show, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're looking for